This is the Albuquerque Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week, we interview leading local business leaders to inspire the vision and spirit that is in every entrepreneur, discussing strengths, weakness, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together to fulfill a shared vision of a new future for Albuquerque.
Hi, my name is Jason Rigby, and welcome to the Albuquerque Business Podcast. Today on our show, we have a very special guest. I don't want to give it away, but we're going to be talking to a CEO about soccer in Albuquerque. So stick around. This podcast has been brought to you by 99.9 The Beat FM, living in Albuquerque. If you live here, tune in to 99.9 FM, or you can stream it online at 99thebfm.com. Also want to thank Duke City Marketing. If you're looking for Instagram story ads, if you're looking for Facebook ads, whatever it may be, go to www.dukecitymarketing.com. That's dukecitymarketing.com. So I have Peter, and I want to make sure I pronounce your last name right, sir. What is it?
I'm going to try it. Take a shot. Take a shot.
I've been trying. I tried right before you got here. I was like over and over and over again. Is it an Italian name?
Italiano, yes.
Yes, it is. Is it Peter Trevisani?
Bingo. As easy as that. Just relax into it, and it flows like the Trevisani fountain.
Oh, that's cool. He is the owner and president of the New Mexico United. And I want to tell a little bit backstory about you and who you are, and then we'll get into the team, if that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, no, you got my name, Peter Trevisani, and boy, there's a lot of ways to go with that. But yeah, born and raised in Boston, but I've been living in Santa Fe, so self-identified New Mexican now.
Right.
Raising my family with my wife, Wendy. I've got 3 great kids that are in high school right now, and work primarily in finance for a company up in Santa Fe called Thornburg Investment Management.
Oh, okay.
And actually kind of took a road less traveled to get there. I was living in London working for Lehman Brothers right after business school.
Oh, wow.
And decided, I liked finance, but the Wall Street track really wasn't quite for me. Mm-hmm. And moved out to Santa Fe figuring, I'd come up for quality life, and was really fortunate to join Thornburg at a really early age and help build a great business there. And now I'm doing some other things that I'm passionate about.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, let's get into a little bit about owning a professional soccer team in Albuquerque. So we could use the word possess, I don't know, but what would cause you to own a soccer team?
Yeah, temporary insanity. Really, it's funny. I'm not a traditional soccer guy. I didn't grow up playing soccer. My kids have. I grew up playing American football through college, and so the fact that I own a soccer team and I'm running and the CEO of a soccer staff and club is really a shock to me as well. But really where it came down to is that I wanted to do something, and the other owners of this team wanted to do something that made a difference in Albuquerque.
Right. That
could be a positive agent of change and bring this community together in a way it's really never been brought together before.
Right.
And soccer, more than any other sport in the world, soccer has the amazing power to unite even the most diverse of people and backgrounds. And so we want to really harness that power to make a positive change here in New Mexico and in Albuquerque.
Oh, that's cool. So as far as having a soccer team, how can you tell me a little bit without being too technical, but how do you get a team, how do you get them to look at Albuquerque in and of itself?
Yeah, well, we're playing in the USL Championship League, which is sanctioned Division II by the U.S. Soccer Federation. So we're just one under MLS. And I think the league felt strongly that there was a gap in the Southwest, that New Mexico, frankly, on a per capita basis, has some of the best soccer players in the country.
Right.
We've got about 30 young men who are playing professionally all over the world right now. For a small state, that's pretty good. So there was this gap here. It's not obvious because we're a smaller city. There's no professional sports teams where winning matters. We've got a AAA baseball team that does a great job on the entertainment side and has done very well, and a Division I college university program, but otherwise it's a pretty clean slate.
And so, going on your website and looking, and I went to the big party that you had downtown because I'm a huge soccer fan. One of the big things that I saw was that you're going to be at the Isotopes.
Yeah, we are. We are going to be playing at Isotopes Park starting March 9th, so in 45 days. and maybe 2 hours and a few minutes and seconds. That ball's going to roll forward for the first time in the history of our state. So if you haven't circled that date already, we all have to come out for that event. And Isotopes it's not just a great stadium; it's one of the best minor league parks in the country. And so to be able to convert that, which is a lot of work, we're going to be putting sod over the infield. We're going to be ripping out the pitcher's mound, and we're going to be turning it into a soccer pitch. But the sight lines are fantastic. The seats fall really well with the field, and so we're really excited to be playing in Isotopes Park.
Oh, that's awesome. One of the things that I noticed when I first came here from Seattle was how beautiful the park is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it kind of took my breath away when I walked in there and I saw the mountains and how.
Yeah.
So that's exciting that you're going to be actually having the team there. Is that something that you're going to be having there for a while, or are you using it, or what's that process?
Yeah, I think there was a couple ways to go about this team. I don't know exactly what the right way is. I just know the way that we're doing it.
Right.
And the way that we're doing it is, rather than coming to a city or a state and saying, hey, build us a stadium or this or that, and then we'll bring a team, we're saying, let's bring this team here. Let's let the people of New Mexico show how important it is to them.
Right.
And I think when we do that at Isotopes Park, and we're going to be playing there for at least 2 seasons, then I think what we're going to be able to do is really have some buying power with the city, some buying power with the state, so that we can build a stadium, ideally in downtown Albuquerque.
Yes.
We can get a stadium in downtown Albuquerque for soccer specific, a multi-use, but focused on soccer. That can change the architectural landscape of the city, and there's a couple different spots that it could go, but that's the medium-term goal, and the long-term goal is to have a gem of a stadium and a team that is really owned by the city. I'm just a custodian of the team, and ultimately it's going to be owned by the people, and I really believe in that vision.
Yeah, and I think I know the rail yards, there's a lot of places a downtown area that would actually be beautiful. I just talked to a CEO currently, and he's actually giving housing allotments to employees that live downtown.
Fantastic.
So he's trying to reinvent Albuquerque, and I think that's something that a soccer team. I saw what happened in Seattle when they brought a soccer team. I mean, the people got behind it. I mean, they're packing out the Seahawks Stadium.
Amazing. I mean, that was my first MLS experience, was a Sounders game, and I just happened to be in Seattle, and we had a day before we were going to head out to the islands, and like, let's go to a Sounders game. And I'd heard great things, but you just can't describe it. You just have to experience it, and you have to live it. And all of a sudden, when all the bars and pubs and restaurants empty out into the march, and this wave of people are coming into a stadium, and the stadium fills up with energy, and it never stops for the next 2 hours. I mean, it's just even if you're not a fan of that team, you're going to get swept up in that emotion, and it's an incredible experience, one that we are going to be replicating here in just another 45 days.
Oh, that'll be awesome. And I love the word united too. I think that's beautiful for Albuquerque, the city. We need something that we can grab onto as a whole, as a city, and take a vision to the future. So as far as like future for the team, are you looking specifically at what is the process because I mean, being MLS fan, what does that process entail? You have to have a stadium, or?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't bring this team here to as a holder to get to MLS.
Right.
It's not to say that can't happen, and I do think that over time, with a medium-term view, that the promotion relegation model that is prevalent in every single country except for the United States will eventually be adopted here, and there will be a chance to win your way into MLS or lose your way into a lower league, and I think that that's healthy for the sport. But one of the things is that because this is our team, we're not a minor league team for the Colorado Rapids or the LA Galaxy. We're New Mexico United.
Right.
Our players are signed with us. If they score 3 goals, Devin Sandoval scores 3 goals, or David Estrada scores 3 goals, he doesn't go to another team the next week. He's with us. And our players are generally signed for a multi-year period, and I think many of them are going to stay with us for 5 or 6 or 7 years and eventually settle here and raise their own families here and be coaches and members of our community. And that's the kind of exponential impact that we can have that can change our state. But in terms of this professional team, there's a tournament called the Open Cup, which
Right.
a lot of people aren't familiar with, even though it's been around for like 100 years. And the Open Cup, for those that don't know, is a tournament that basically decides who the best team in the country is. It's not decided by a league. And I think pretty much anyone can open the Open Cup. So the way you think about it is it starts with about 1,100 teams. So it's
Wow.
the NCAA basketball tournament on mega steroids. And over time, as teams get eliminated, you win, you advance, you lose, you're out. And so, you look and you see the Brooklyn Italians are playing the Boston Firefighters. And after many rounds, eventually different levels of play enter in. For the level 3, the USL comes in, and then the MLS comes in. And so what would happen is the first round, we'll probably play the Brooklyn Italians if they've won. And then we'd probably play a team from the USL. And then we'd probably, after winning those games, play the Rapids or the LA Galaxy in a game that they're trying to win and trying to win desperately. And it's every year USL teams beat MLS teams in the Open Cup. 2 years ago, Cincinnati, a USL team, lost in a shootout in the semifinals to the Chicago Fire after beating 3 MLS teams. So they were one kick away from being in the final. And then if you want to keep dreaming, if you win Open Cup, you get an automatic bid to CONCACAF. You win CONCACAF, you go to the Club World Cup where you get to play Barcelona, Real Madrid.
Oh, wow. Right.
I always joke, if that happens, I'm going to make a lot more money in the Disney movie than on this team. But what people need to know is there's a platform for this team to compete on a global level.
Right, that's awesome.
And we've never had that before.
Right. Now, I know being up from Seattle, I'm going to mention that a lot because I've seen kind of what's happened to a city. Businesses got behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You even had pubs that came in and then, reorganized. Instead of being a football pub, now it's a soccer pub. How can businesses here in Albuquerque help the team? How can they get behind the team?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question, and because you're right. I mean, in Seattle, you got some great companies. You got Microsoft.
Right.
You've got some really, Amazon. You got some Fortune 50 companies. We don't have anything like that right now.
Right.
So there's no company that's just going to put this team on its back and say, hey, we're doing this as a service to the community. So what we really need, instead of going a mile deep, we got to go, 20 miles wide. And we need all businesses just to lean in a little bit. And so even if you're a small business, even if you're a sole proprietor, think about buying a pair of season tickets. Think about buying tickets to a game, because if everyone leans in just a little bit, then the stadium will be packed, and we'll create the environment that we have in Seattle. We'll be able to get a stadium that is going to make us all proud, that will drive more employees, that will keep younger people in our state, that will keep allow families to stay here and to grow, and it's really just as much as that. A season ticket can cost as little as $179. So very affordable. It's not thousands of dollars. So we've sold over 1,800 season tickets already.
Oh, wow.
I think that's gonna go up a lot from here, and so anyone who's thinking about it, if you want to, even if you don't love soccer, these tickets are great for your employees. They're great for suppliers, vendors, the community. I really just encourage you to come to NewMexicoUTD.com/tickets and just lean in and say yes, and we're not going to let you down.
No, that's awesome, because I think once you get that business support, then from there you can move on, in the other directions that you have. So one of the questions I want to ask you, like more of a personal question, what do you think the most important business lessons you've learned in leading New Mexico United?
For me, I think it's really important to follow your passion and follow your heart, and to stay true to that. And I think a lot of people, particularly in New Mexico, can get distracted. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of potential distractions and people who say, no, we can't do that here.
Right.
That will never work. It doesn't, not in this state. And if you want to start off and say, I don't think it's going to work, it probably won't. But if you really believe in what you're doing, if you have a passion for it, and your head can meet your heart, and you can come forward from that space, people are going to be attracted to that.
Right, exactly.
They don't even have to know what it is. They're just going to see your positive energy, your enthusiasm, that what you're doing is pure and and the cause behind it, and they're going to get together and support it. New Mexico may not be the richest state. We may have a lot of issues around things like education and immigration. But I'll tell you, New Mexicans, when it comes to the heart and where the heart meets the mind, there's no one like a New Mexican. We have some of the most brilliant people in the country, and I think that if you're just honest with the people and you just tell them straight out what it is and what it isn't, they're going to believe and get behind it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know young professionals, you had mentioned it just a few minutes ago about them moving out. And I know that's one of the things, you look at Austin, Texas, you look at these different areas. I actually believe Albuquerque is in the beginning infancy of something that's going to be great. The weather's good here. Everything is inexpensive. What do you think in particular would help Albuquerque? I know a soccer team's going to do that. That's like cool factor. But what do you think would help Albuquerque with business?
Well, I think every time one of our young best and brightest that moves from here because they can't fulfill their hopes and dreams here, it's a theft. It's a theft. And our best and brightest are struggling to stay here, even though they want to stay here. And so we need to create a platform that just keeps our own here. And then we can worry about attracting others. And so there's a lot of things we can do. Young people are super resilient. They're not asking for a lot. They don't need to live in a mansion and have fancy things. They just want to have an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to be who they are deep down. And so it's our job as the generation above them to create that platform. And yes, this team is an agent of change. This team can help create the platform, but not by itself. And so what we have to do is all the people who feel the same way, we all have to come together. We have to link arms. We have to take a chance, and we have to say, yeah, we're going to make it. We're going to make a difference. And we're seeing good things happening. We're seeing Netflix bring 1,000 great jobs. We're seeing more companies moving here. And I think we're seeing younger people stay here. And it doesn't have to be 10,000 of them. It just has to be one at a time. If we can keep one more young person here, then we've improved the situation. And then we go get 2 and 3 and 6 and 10. And then it creates an exponential effect that will be unstoppable. And I believe we're on that path.
That's awesome. And that's something that I've noticed especially with young professionals, millennials are in, the consuming age now. What is your target demographic? I mean, what are you looking at specifically? I know all of New Mexico, but is it those young professionals or what?
I mean, this team is for everyone. I know that's a cliche, but I could make a business case for everyone from 2 to 102. And if someone's 104, I apologize. You're welcome to come as well. But obviously, look, the millennials, that generation, first of all, they grew up playing soccer. Second of all, they cherish experiences over things typically. So they're just looking to put their money, put their energy into things that feel great and that add to the quality of their life. And so we really want millennials to come to these games and to get behind this team and to make it their own. And we want this team to be representative of them. And so when our players, are the kind of when our players get out in this community, they're going to see that these players are even though they're not all from here, only a couple are from here. Others are from Spain and Colombia and Mexico, Jamaica, Dominican.
Oh, that's awesome.
Americans. They're going to be very representative of who we are with New Mexicans. They're going to be hardworking, gritty, determined. They already believe in the state. They get what we're trying to do. They know that this is about way more than soccer.
Right.
And we talk about it. The team's here already. We talk about it all the time. I'm already seeing guys like David Estrada in the community. David was born in Mexico, grew up in Salinas, California, on a farm. His parents worked the farms. He went to UCLA. Was drafted by the Sounders. 5 years there, 2 years on their second team. Scored a ton of goals in the MLS. 2-time Humanitarian of the Year award winner for the Sounders. And I've already seen him here integrating with the community in his first few weeks in a way that you'd think he was born and raised here. So
that's awesome. So just bringing that community together, I think, is probably one of the most important lessons that we could all learn. What is if you had a tip for an entrepreneur here in Albuquerque, what would that be in particular?
Well, I mean, believe in yourself. 2, get rid of plan B.
Moving out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just think get your plan A, figure out what you want to do, get committed to it, make sure what you're doing every day supports that choice. Being a successful entrepreneur means that you're going to have to say no to a lot of things.
Right.
And but what you're saying is you're saying yes to your passion. You're saying yes to something that you think makes a difference. Put your, go for it, and don't hedge on it. And I think that when you're all in like that, and you're not dabbling, but you're really truly all in, then you give yourself a tremendous chance to succeed.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to take a break real quick. We'll be right back.
Join us this week for another episode of the Albuquerque Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week, he interviews leading local business leaders that inspire the vision and spirit in every entrepreneur, discussing strengths, weakness, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together to fulfill a shared vision of a new future for Albuquerque. Listen or download this Sunday afternoon at 4 from your favorite podcasting app.
And we're back on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. We have the CEO, owner, Peter Trevisani. He's the owner and president of New Mexico United, and I'm gonna ask a few more questions if you don't mind, sir. How would this team change Albuquerque?
This team definitely is going to be a positive agent of change for the city of Albuquerque. It's on so many different levels. Just at face value, it's a healthy entertainment option, and we don't have a tremendous amount of those here.
Right.
So for 18 nights a year now, at least, if there's going to be a great option for individuals, for couples, for families to go out and have a great, healthy time. When you get into other layers of that and you start to look at the exponential effect that can start to generate, we're bringing jobs to New Mexico.
Right.
We're bringing players to New Mexico that are earning a good wage, that are being exposed to the city. That's going to help create other businesses. This is going to be a platform for businesses, for people, and for causes. And I think this team can help bring awareness. I think this team can help bring together groups of people that could have been divided before. And I think we talked about an example of that. I don't talk much about politics, but I do know that if we can have someone who voted for one party sitting next to someone that voted for the other party,
Mm-hmm.
and even though they might want to choke each other out over those issues,
Right.
for 90 minutes, they're rooting for a common cause.
Right.
And if they can come together in that, then maybe they can find a little bit more common ground on other areas. And so I truly believe that can start to create a systemic change here, and a change that will last in perpetuity.
Right. No, that's awesome. So as far as community engagement, what would help the team not only on the business side, but I know you talked about is there more season tickets available? How do they go about getting a ticket?
Yeah, well, I mean, tickets are easy to come by. If you go to our website, newmexicoutd.com/tickets, you can purchase season tickets for as low as $179 a ticket, and you can be in the supporters group, which means you're not going to sit down. You're probably going to have to beat a drum. There's going to be smoke bombs. There's going to be singing and
That's
chanting. You might get picked up, lifted up, and passed around the crowd. So just full disclosure. But you can also get single game tickets there. Opening night is March 9th. Chevelle, who won The Voice, is going to be singing the national anthem. We just confirmed her. She's from Farmington, a real hero for our state,
That's
to
awesome.
show that you can be the most talented person in the country and come from New Mexico. What a great story that is. And we're going to be giving out that night promotional flags, these 2 feet by 3 feet flags with our shield on it, and that flag, we want everybody waving that flag, and we want we want them to bring that home and to be like, I have a piece of New Mexico history, because there will never ever be another first game in the history of New Mexico United. It's all happening on March 9th at Isotopes Park.
That's awesome. I love your Instagram, and I saw that there was Was that the Sandia Peaks? Where was that at? Where there was a flag brought up?
Yeah, we so the team just arrived. Some of the players came a few weeks ago, and then a couple trickled in a few days ago. One of the first activities we did as a team, because some of these players don't know each other, and they're coming together, and obviously camaraderie is really important. So we took them on a hike up Sandia Peak. So they could see the natural beauty that we have here in New Mexico, and when we got to the top, obviously we've had a lot of snow this year. And Justin Smith, who is one of our own, he went to Volcano Vista High School. Right. Played collegiately, has played in the pros. He was in Sacramento when he heard that we had a team. He wanted to come back and play for that team. And so you can see in a video on Instagram and on Facebook, on Twitter, you can see him walking the flag across the peak, holding it high above his head, and there's an overlay. And if you haven't seen our flag, we just released it yesterday. It's our shield, and it sits on top of the names of every city, town, and pueblo that we have in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Over 100. And so if you're from New Mexico, if you have moved to New Mexico, if you just love New Mexico from afar, wherever you're thinking about, you're on that flag. And that really symbolizes who we are, one united state.
That's awesome. Now, do you guys have a specific hashtag or anything? What if somebody let's say somebody wants to post something on Instagram, or they're somewhere and they want to do something like that? Is it NM United?
So if you it's New Mexico UTD, so okay. Hashtag or at New Mexico UTD are across all three of our handles. I'm at Treventure_47. Throw me in there. I love posting on some things on Instagram behind the scenes on the team, so that people can get a better look at who these individuals are, not just the team. So
yeah, we need to get the flag. That would be cool to have it. Have people posting
absolutely.
all over the place.
And also hashtag Somos Unidos. That's our we are united. Somos Unidos. I mean, that really represents who we are. We're for everybody, and we want to come together. And it doesn't matter where you came from, what you look like, what you believe in, what your sexuality you identify with, however else you want to break somebody into bits and pieces. It doesn't matter, because at Isotopes Park, when we're playing a game, we are all, those bits and pieces all come into one, and we're just awesome. one state, one community.
That's awesome. So as far as I know, on your website you talked about systematic change and that happening. Your team, what will we see if the community gets behind and embraces this team? What will we see in the future? What type of change could we see?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when I think about that, we need more examples of positive outcomes. We need more things that show that that break the negativity and break
right.
the negative loop that sometimes can grip us all. And look, life is just that, and there are a lot of setbacks in life. And my path, I feel blessed for my path. It has not been a straight ride up. It has not been without 2 steps back, sometimes 4 steps back. But I really believe if you can just focus on the positive, then we can break that negative loop. And you talked about the Sandia Mountains. When you look towards the Sandia Mountains in this city, you can see the Sandia Mountains, and I bet if you look to another view, you could see a junkyard. And
right.
you get to make a choice if you want to see a junkyard or if you want to see some of the most beautiful mountains in the world. And so I think that this team can be a positive choice, something that people can look at that is a positive thing that hopefully inspires them to go fulfill their hopes and dreams.
That's awesome. I'm curious with your Spanish players from Spain if they've seen similarities here with Albuquerque.
To Spain? Or
yeah. I mean, because if you can go to Barcelona and different areas like that, and it looks almost like Albuquerque.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting. We do have 2 players from Spain, another from Mexico, another from Colombia. So we got some great, Spanish speakers. And I think they do relate to the culture here. Obviously, it helps to bridge our language barrier. We have a lot of first-generation Hispanics here who, are just still learning English, and we've already been out into that community and telling our story in Spanish. And I just think the players. Many have never been here before. I think they're surprised by the beauty. I think they've probably heard some of the problems that we we have,
Right.
but they're all bought in. Our head coach Troy Lassane, assistant coach Zach Prince, Mike Grasick, all of our players, we're all bought into the fact that this can be something positive,
That's awesome.
and we're gonna be the ones that are the custodians of it. We're the first generation of New Mexico United. I don't plan on being. I'm not going to be here forever, but this team is.
Right.
And we're just
Exactly.
the ones setting the tone. You hear about the Barcelona way, the Real Madrid way. Well, we're creating the New Mexico United way, and then that's going to push forward, and the generations behind us are going to take it and build on it, and that's really our goal.
Yeah, it's amazing to me because coming here, I would imagine that there would be, I mean, with the huge Hispanic population, that there would be a soccer team here. So there was that missing puzzle piece here.
Yeah, well, I don't. It's very hard to generalize because everybody's an individual ultimately. But one thing that I've sort of learned is that it feels like the kind of first generation, community, the Mexican community that's here,
Right.
feels very disenfranchised. They feel that a lot of things that are going on aren't for them. And that is a community of some of the most beautiful people with some of the most compelling and stories and so much courage from that community. And so we want to make sure that they know that this team is for them as it is for everybody else. And so I've actually been, I practico mi español cada día, and I'm trying to learn to be fluent in Spanish. And so even though I know I'm unlikely to be a fluent Spanish speaker, it's important that I can communicate with people in many different ways. And so this absolutely is for that community as it is for every community.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's go to Santa Fe if you don't mind. I heard something that you're with Meow Wolf. Or is there a process or
Yeah, I mean, well, I have a deep love for immersive art, and I love art of all kind and music, and but immersive theater where you actually interact with performers, where the performance doesn't happen in a two-dimension where you just sit in a chair and watch on a stage or
Right.
watch on a screen, but you actually interact in a third dimension. I'm so moved by that art form, and Meow Wolf it's amazing. We have basically this art collaborative
Right.
that is now ground zero for immersive art. And there are art collectives all over the world that are coming to Meow Wolf, coming to Santa Fe to study, to learn, to figure out how did Meow Wolf take 6 or 7 artists that were waiting tables and were dog walkers, and how did they come together and follow their passion and build this art collective that has over 300 people in it and is a global phenomena. And that's right here in New Mexico. That's right here in Santa Fe. And they're doing something that nobody else has done before. And frankly, Meow Wolf was one of the inspirations for me to have the courage to step out and try this team.
That's awesome.
And so if Meow Wolf can impact me and we can impact somebody else, just think about that's like a tree with more and more branches, and all of a sudden we have a systemic change.
I think also that could be a learning environment too. Instead of just sitting at a desk and listening to a teacher, have that immersiveness. I think would be
Absolutely,
especially when you're getting 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. Being able to exhibit that. I wish there was more art in the schools.
Yeah, and I think that the world always needs more art. And one of the things that we're doing is trying to be a bridge for art and sport. We've talked about it a lot. We've got a great partnership with Meow Wolf, and the fact is that for whatever reason, there still are a lot of boundaries between artist and sport. It's not cool to be on a team and be an artist, or if you're an artist you can't be good at sports. That's BS.
Right.
And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna really work to show that you can do both. We're working on a project right now. We're finalizing it. Where what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna take some artists from Meow Wolf. We're gonna take some players and a coach from New Mexico United. We're gonna take some kids. We're gonna have a soccer clinic, and it's gonna be great. And the artists from Meow Wolf are gonna participate. And because there's a lot of great soccer players at Meow Wolf. And when we're done playing, we're not just going to get up and leave. We're going to go take those balls. We're going to get some bins of paint. We're going to roll the balls in the paint.
That's awesome.
Then we're going to smack them against a board till it looks like a Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
we're going to create art.
Right.
And so when we leave there, we're showing that you don't have to be a great artist to create art.
Right.
And you don't have to be a great soccer player to enjoy playing soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just are, allow yourself the freedom to experiment and play and smile and enjoy it for just the pure joy of it, then the world opens up to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's amazing because when you look at the Balloon Fiesta, that has been the staple for years and years and years. But then when you look at the amount of traffic that's going to Meow Wolf now, it's almost like you go to Meow Wolf, Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. That's the two. So that quickly to get into that, and then the amount of people that hear about that from out of state is amazing.
Absolutely. 500,000 visitors last year came to Meow Wolf.
Wow.
That's 70,000 people live in Santa Fe, so the math is pretty evident there, and I think that's what's been amazing. At first Meow Wolf was for people from Santa Fe, then people from Albuquerque, New Mexico came, and then people who were here for like a conference said, "Oh, well, I'm here. I'm going to go check out Meow Wolf." Now people are coming to Meow Wolf.
Right.
That's why they're here. And then, oh, by the way, they're checking out Albuquerque. They're checking out Santa Fe. They're going up to Ojo Caliente. They're going into the mountains. They're exploring the streets, and they're exploring New Mexico. And so when we can get people to come to New Mexico and see what we are all about, then we are winners, because they're going to leave winners too, because they're going to be exposed to a gem. What I love about New Mexico, and every time I leave here, I always feel this way when I come back. It's like coming to a different country in a good way.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that if you're an American and you're traveling around America and you want to try to feel like you're leaving, and you're somewhere else, which is the beauty of travel, the putting yourself in an environment that feels different. You come to New Mexico and you're going to feel that and really celebrate what this state is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. What does New Mexico United future hold?
It holds whatever we want it to hold, whatever we collectively decide it's going to be. We the ownership group, the people who work for the team, the players, we're taking the first step forward and presenting it, but how it gets interpreted, where it goes from here is up to the people of this state, and I'm really optimistic that they're going to embrace the passion of it and the joy of it and the ability that this team has to bring us together in a way we've never come together before, and where that goes is limitless.
That's awesome. And I love the whole approach of, now on your Instagram, are you going to be bridging, because Instagram is art in and of itself on the social media side of things. Would there be bridging that gap with the soccer and the art? Because I think that's never been done before.
Yeah. And the answer is absolutely. And there's more to come on that. But I think if you look at our Instagram, if you look at our posts, we try to get outside some of the stereotypes of just sports teams. And yeah, there is a level of thrill and aggression and conquering that comes with sports. It's beautiful, but there's so much more than that. And when you look at some of our Instagram posts, we're hoping that you see some of the beauty of the team, the beauty of the players, the beauty of the community, the interaction they're having with the community. When you look at the video snippet that we did of our flag release, of a single person standing on a mountain, waving it proud with the sun coming through the flag, shining on every single town, city, and pueblo we have in New Mexico. That's art. And that video was created right here by New Mexicans. That wasn't some California company, New York company saying, "Hey, check this out." We created that organically. We didn't follow anyone on it, and we're not going to follow anyone on this team. We're going to create our own blueprint, and we're going to march forward in a New Mexican way.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Peter, for coming today. I really appreciate you being on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. Thanks for listening. And I want to make sure that everyone, especially if you're a business owner, like he said, get tickets for your employees. And once again, what's the website?
www.newmexicoutd.com. And yeah, we would any support is support, liking us on Instagram and Facebook, buying a ticket, bringing your employees out, bringing your customers out, purchasing season tickets, buying a T-shirt, all of it, and just coming to the game. We need you. We need your businesses. We need your employees. We need you to. We want to celebrate you, and we can't do that if you're not there. And so come on out. Just come on out and enjoy it. And I think you're going to see that we can take a step forward together for the state of New Mexico.
Awesome. And also, I downloaded your wallpaper.
Hey.
I have it on my phone now. So
good. How did you do that?
Website,
You tell
go
everybody.
on the website, and then it pops up. I was looking around on the website, and then you just put your email and your name in there. Next thing you know, you get an email, and you have several choices.
Excellent.
So I choose the Shield, so it was awesome.
The Shield rocks, and there's some cool Zias and things of that nature.
That's awesome. Well, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes so you never miss an episode, and also stop by our website at abqpodcast.com.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thank you to our sponsor, DukeCityMarketing.com. Please go to abqpodcast.com, where you can get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner in Albuquerque.